There is a part of you, a core within yourself, that is far stronger than your thoughts, stronger than the mind that constantly chatters, judges, plans, and fears. The mind is your companion. It can serve you, but it can also betray you. It can be the friend who keeps you grounded, helping you plan and prepare, and it can be the enemy that convinces you of scarcity, of inadequacy, of impossibility. You have worked, struggled, sacrificed, and dedicated yourself to achieve certain goals. Perhaps now you have what you sought. You hold it in your hands, but can you truly enjoy it? The answer is often no, because the mind pulls you away from the present. It drags you into the shadows of the past or the illusions of the future. The present moment, the only moment that truly exists, is always slipping through your grasp. To enjoy what you have, you must arrive fully where you are in this moment with exactly what is before you. Nothing more, nothing less. There is no wishing for the past to have been different, no longing for a future that hasn't yet arrived. You cannot inhabit the present while simultaneously clinging to regrets or anxieties. This realization, simple in words but profound in effect, transforms your life. The more you internalize it, the more it begins to seep into your very being, coloring your experience with calm, clarity, and presence. You might notice that most of the time, if you observe yourself carefully, you are present. But sometimes, layers of thought create the illusion that you are absent. You are always here, always in this moment, but the mind can obscure the truth. The moment you step back and let thoughts settle, you perceive it. You see the vast expanse of consciousness that has always been beneath your busy mind. In our modern world, the common belief is that we must achieve, acquire, or do in order to feel whole. You need a diploma, a career, money, a home, a relationship, a vehicle, a checklist that never ends. We are conditioned to equate doing with being. Yet the essence of what I am trying to convey is different. Being is already present. You do not need to add, accumulate, or force. You only need to remove the obstacles, the layers, the clutter that obscure it. It is not about creating, it is about uncovering. It is not about striving, it is about awakening to what already exists within you. This path does not reject knowledge, experience, or learning. Every skill, every lesson, every insight can serve you, but only if you are aware of them. To deny learning because you fear it may be irrelevant is to close doors to your potential. Knowledge is never wasted. It is like water stored behind a dam. You may not need it today, but when the moment comes, it nourishes life. Similarly, every practice you adopt, every discipline you follow is a tool. Some will resonate, some will not. The key is access. Once you understand both the internal and external, the inner truth and the outer method, you can choose when to apply which. Without access, there is no choice. Consider the practices of Shaolin martial arts, for instance. To the casual observer, it is merely training, movement, diet, structure. But behind these external forms lies a profound internal cultivation. Strength, flexibility, endurance, focus, and even ecstasy of motion are not goals. They are byproducts of alignment, of harmony between body, mind, and spirit. Every aspect of the day, when to rise, when to eat, when to train, is carefully attuned to support this cultivation. Freedom emerges, paradoxically, from discipline. The first weeks may feel restrictive. You follow a schedule, adhere to timings, control impulses. Yet gradually, a deeper freedom is revealed, the ability to respond rather than react, to act from awareness rather than compulsion. True freedom is not eating whenever hunger arises, or indulging every desire of the mind. True freedom is the mastery of impulses. It is knowing that you can wait, that you can endure, that you can hold space for yourself without being enslaved by transient urges. When you internalize this, the mind, once a restless master, becomes your loyal servant. You act with intention, with clarity, with control. This principle extends beyond diet and movement. In relationships, in work, in interaction with the world, mastery begins internally. Freedom is not a license to indulge or disrupt. It is the capacity to act with wisdom, to navigate life without causing unnecessary suffering to yourself or others. Freedom guided by awareness, by understanding, by alignment, is vastly different from the illusory freedom of indulgence or impulsivity. Energy, physical, emotional, mental, is profoundly affected by how you live. Your diet, your breathing, your habits, your sleep, and your environment either nourish or deplete your essence. When alignment is missing, energy is wasted. Recovery, vitality, focus. These are not mere luxuries, they are the foundational currencies of life. To maintain them requires respect for natural rhythms, for the body's needs, for the mind's limits. Challenges, conflicts, suffering, these are inevitable. Life is not a smooth highway. It is a landscape of peaks and valleys, of friction and frictionless moments. Yet within every challenge lies opportunity, the chance to evolve, to refine, to transcend. The depth of discomfort often corresponds to the magnitude of transformation possible. Pain is not a punishment. It is a teacher, a mirror, a signal. Confront it, understand it, integrate it. Transformation requires courage. Courage to face fear, courage to leave comfort, courage to move into the unknown. The mind is the central instrument in this journey. Thoughts shape perception, perception shapes experience, experience shapes life. Awareness of thoughts, of impulses, of judgments is essential. To observe a thought without acting upon it, to let it arise and pass like clouds in the sky, is the beginning of mastery. Most thoughts, 90% or more, are irrelevant. Yet we feed them, identify with them, allow them to direct our lives. Liberation comes when you reclaim attention, when you act from presence rather than reaction. Every human being is tested. Every relationship, every interaction, every circumstance challenges your internal elevation. Jealousy, anger, attachment, desire, they all provide mirrors. By observing your responses, you measure your growth. Each repeated pattern, each trigger is an opportunity to rise, to refine, to expand. Mastery is continuous, unending, yet infinitely rewarding. Gratitude is integral to this path. Recognize those who shaped you, parents, teachers, friends, even adversaries. Recognize the invisible forces that allowed you to exist, the universe, nature, life itself. Gratitude is not a fleeting emotion. It is a lens through which reality becomes luminous. Through gratitude, even suffering can be transformed into insight. Even loss can reveal love. Even pain can illuminate growth. The present moment, awareness, alignment, mastery, freedom, energy, courage, gratitude, these are not abstract ideals. They are lived experiential realities. They are cultivated through practice, observation, and dedication. Life in its raw truth is not about accumulation, not about chasing desires, not about the illusions of external validation. It is about cultivating yourself, refining your essence, harmonizing body, mind, and spirit, and navigating the world with clarity and presence. The journey begins within. The external world can provide methods, structures, guides, and teachers, but true transformation arises from within. Observe yourself, feel your energy, recognize your habits, challenge your fears, question your desires, release what binds you, embrace what aligns you. Step into the freedom that comes from mastery of mind, body, and spirit. This is the essence of living fully, deeply, and authentically. Relationships are perhaps the most vivid mirrors of our inner world. They are not limited to romantic connections. They encompass friendships, family ties, colleagues, and even our interactions with strangers. At the heart of any meaningful relationship lies connection. If there is no connection, there is no relationship. Connection is resonance, a subtle harmony of emotional frequencies, where two or more beings meet and recognize each other's presence. It is not about desire alone, not about what you think you want. Desire can exist in the mind, but without resonance in the heart, it leads only to frustration and imbalance. Once connection is established, the next step is the flow of exchange. Healthy relationships require balance between giving and receiving. A bond in which only one side constantly gives while the other only takes is inherently unstable. Energy must circulate freely, support, care, attention, understanding. All must move in both directions over time. Life tests us in these areas continuously. The challenges are subtle at first. A disagreement, a misunderstanding, a jealousy. How you respond to these small triggers reflects your level of internal elevation, your ability to maintain balance and perspective. Consider jealousy, for instance. It is one of the most universal human challenges. It can infiltrate relationships repeatedly, manifesting differently each time. Each occurrence is an opportunity to observe yourself. What triggers this reaction? How do you respond? Do you act impulsively, feeding the emotion, or do you step back, witness it, and choose a different response? Patterns repeat until they are fully understood and transcended. Mastery is not about avoiding these tests. Mastery is about confronting them repeatedly until the lesson is integrated. Life circumstances are another mirror. They present challenges, discomfort, and suffering, often when least expected. Pain, loss, and conflict are unavoidable, but the suffering we endure depends largely on our relationship to these experiences. Dwelling in the past, holding on to regrets, or projecting into the future with worry and anxiety creates unnecessary suffering. This is the first arrow of life, the inevitable pain of events themselves. The second arrow is optional, the mental suffering we create by clinging, resisting, or identifying too closely with the event. Learning to avoid the second arrow is a central practice in cultivating inner freedom. Meditative and physical practices, such as Shaolin training, martial arts, or other disciplined modalities, serve as tools to cultivate this awareness. They teach presence, endurance, patience, and focus. Through disciplined practice, we experience our limitations and learn to transcend them. Physical discomfort, mental fatigue, and emotional triggers become teachers. You realize that fear and pain are not enemies, they are signposts. They indicate the edges of your current capacity and guide you toward growth. Step by step, moment by moment, you move beyond comfort zones. Pain becomes an indicator, not an obstacle. Courage is essential in this journey. True courage is not recklessness. It is the willingness to face the unknown, to confront fear, and to engage fully with life as it is. Paired with courage is the ability to let go, release attachment to outcomes, identities, or illusions that bind us. Without courage and letting go, growth stalls. Without these, the mind dominates, fear dictates, and the comfort zone becomes a prison. The expansion of consciousness, the development of resilience, and the mastery of the self all hinge on cultivating these two capacities. Gratitude complements courage and presence. Recognizing those who shaped your life, teachers, parents, friends, companions, even challenges themselves, grounds you in humility and awareness. Gratitude transforms perspective. It allows you to see your journey not as a series of isolated events, but as an interconnected web of support, influence, and opportunity. Every person, every experience, every difficulty contributes to the tapestry of your development. By acknowledging this, we cultivate both inner peace and the ability to extend generosity and understanding to others. True inner mastery also includes mastery of the mind. The mind produces thousands of thoughts daily, most of which are irrelevant to your purpose or well-being. Awareness is the first step, observing thoughts as they arise without immediate reaction. Then comes choice, deciding which thoughts merit action or attention. By observing rather than reacting, you reclaim control over your life. Each moment becomes a conscious act rather than an automatic response. Sleep, work, eating, and movement are no longer fragmented by distraction. Presence becomes unified. What you think, feel, and do are synchronized. This alignment between mind and body is a profound form of freedom. Freedom itself must be understood carefully. It is often mistaken for the ability to do anything without restriction. True freedom is internal, not external. It is the capacity to act with awareness regardless of circumstance, to remain unshaken by desire, fear, or habit. It is freedom from the compulsions of the mind. Indulgence masquerading as freedom leads to suffering. Real freedom, cultivated through discipline and alignment, allows you to engage with life fully while remaining centered, grounded, and unbound. Energy is another critical dimension. Physical health, nutrition, breathing, and lifestyle are foundational to sustaining energy. Misaligned habits, poor diet, and irregular rhythms drain the body and mind, depleting vitality and reducing clarity. When energy is abundant, awareness deepens. When energy is scarce, the mind becomes reactive, restless, and weak. Practices that strengthen body and mind create a reserve of energy that enables resilience, focus, and conscious choice. Suffering, both inevitable and avoidable, must be faced directly. Avoidance only prolongs internal conflict, pain, loss, uncertainty. And fear are teachers that guide the evolution of consciousness. Running from suffering, hiding from fear, or constructing illusory safety prevents growth. Life is not about eliminating pain. It is about learning to engage with it skillfully, transforming it into insight and strength. The mind, when trained and aligned, becomes a tool rather than a master. Life's uncertainties, the unknown and the unexpected, are essential for growth. They push you out of comfort zones, force adaptation, and develop resilience. The world is vast, unpredictable, and uncontrollable. Attempting to secure external conditions as the basis for happiness is futile. Satisfaction rooted in external circumstances is fragile, temporary, and often illusory. True fulfillment arises internally, from presence, awareness, alignment, and mastery. Patterns in life, cycles of desire, acquisition, and dissatisfaction, illustrate this point vividly. Each fulfilled desire often leads to a new one. Recognition, status, material possessions, or achievements bring momentary satisfaction, yet rarely lasting contentment. Observing these patterns reveals the limitations of chasing external validation. Instead, the focus shifts inward. Mastery of mind, body, and spirit, cultivating inner fulfillment independent of circumstance. Existence itself is the greatest gift. Life, consciousness, the capacity to experience, to think, to act, to love. These are the foundational gifts upon which all else rests. To base satisfaction on fleeting possessions, achievements, or approval is to misunderstand the true nature of life. Awareness of this gift fosters gratitude, humility, and responsibility. Responsibility to live fully, consciously, and authentically, regardless of external conditions. Discipline is often misunderstood as rigidity or suffering, but in reality, it is the bridge between intention and manifestation, between knowledge and actualization. Discipline is the commitment to a structure, not as a limitation, but as a framework that allows freedom to emerge. Without structure, the mind wanders, habits weaken, and energy is dissipated. Through consistent practice, whether in martial arts, meditation, physical training, or daily routines, we cultivate the capacity to act with awareness regardless of internal resistance. At first, discipline feels like resistance. You wake up early despite wanting to stay in bed, eat at scheduled times despite hunger or cravings, follow a training routine despite fatigue or distraction. In those early stages, the mind protests. It reminds you of comfort, ease, and avoidance. But this is precisely where growth begins. When the mind resists yet you act anyway, you are exercising mastery. Each act of disciplined presence strengthens the neural pathways of self-control, awareness, and resilience. The mind learns that not every desire demands fulfillment, that waiting, enduring, and observing are valid and powerful responses. Courage is inseparable from discipline. Discipline without courage becomes mechanical. Courage without discipline becomes chaotic. Courage is not recklessness or impulsivity. It is the willingness to confront discomfort, uncertainty, and fear. Every moment outside the comfort zone, no matter how small, is a test of courage. This could be speaking your truth when it is difficult, taking a step into a new environment, or facing a personal limitation you have long ignored. Life constantly presents these opportunities. Some are dramatic, most are subtle. Each offers the possibility of transformation. Fear is the universal limiter. It keeps us bound to familiar patterns, to what we know, to what we can control. Fear manifests in many forms: fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. To live fully, one must learn to face fear directly, to observe it without being controlled by it. The process is gradual, first recognizing fear, then stepping into it intentionally, and eventually integrating it as a natural teacher. The more consistently you face fear, the more it loses its power over you. Fear becomes a compass, showing precisely where growth lies. The journey of self-mastery is continuous. There is no final destination. Each experience, each challenge, each setback is an opportunity to refine, recalibrate, and realign. Physical training, martial arts, and breathwork are tools for this refinement. When training at the edge of your capability, when muscles strain, heart races, and mind screams to quit, you learn to witness yourself. You observe your thoughts, your impulses, and your emotional reactions. You practice responding with awareness rather than reacting automatically. This principle transfers seamlessly into daily life. When faced with emotional triggers, interpersonal conflict, or professional pressure, the mind that has learned discipline on the training floor applies the same principles in real-world situations. Let us consider the role of thought in this framework. Thoughts are powerful, yet most are irrelevant to our growth or well-being. The majority of mental activity is noise, judgments, worries, regrets, fantasies, and desires that drain energy without serving a constructive purpose. Awareness is the first step, noticing thoughts as they arise without immediately acting upon them. Then comes choice, deciding which thoughts deserve your attention, energy, and action. By exercising this selective attention, you reclaim control over your internal environment. This control is liberation. It is the freedom to live in alignment with purpose rather than reaction. Integration is the next layer. Mastery is not only mental, it encompasses body, mind, and spirit. The body reflects the mind, and the mind reflects the body. Through physical practice, the mind learns endurance, patience, and alignment. Through mental discipline, the body becomes an instrument of intention rather than a slave to impulses. Spirit arises from alignment, when actions, thoughts, and emotions resonate coherently, when life is lived with integrity, presence, and awareness. Integration is the alchemy of human existence. It transforms ordinary experience into conscious mastery. Another essential element of mastery is observation of the self. True self-awareness comes from consistent introspection and honest evaluation. Observe your reactions, your habits, your attachments, and your aversions. Notice the patterns that repeat in relationships, work, and personal pursuits. Observe without judgment. This clarity allows you to identify areas of imbalance and disharmony. Only when you recognize what is misaligned can you begin the process of adjustment. Observation is not passive. It is the first act of conscious intervention. Challenges in life, whether external circumstances or internal conflicts, are inevitable. Suffering, discomfort, uncertainty, and loss are integral to existence. These experiences are not to be avoided, they are the catalysts for growth. Avoiding challenges, distracting oneself, or constructing illusions of safety only prolongs internal suffering. Facing these difficulties head-on with courage, discipline, and awareness strengthens resilience, deepens understanding, and cultivates freedom. The first arrow, the unavoidable event, is inevitable. The second arrow, the suffering we create through resistance, attachment, or misperception, is optional. Mastery is learning to avoid the second arrow, to face life directly with equanimity. The cultivation of gratitude amplifies mastery. Gratitude is the recognition of interdependence, the acknowledgement that our growth is supported by teachers, companions, experiences, and even challenges themselves. Gratitude stabilizes the mind, aligns emotions, and fosters perspective. It diminishes the illusion of isolation and elevates the heart. Gratitude does not require perfection in life, nor absence of challenges. It simply requires noticing the support and gifts that already exist, no matter how subtle or overt. Discipline, courage, presence, observation, and gratitude form a constellation of principles that guide the practitioner toward mastery. Applied consistently, these principles transform daily life into a laboratory for growth. Ordinary moments, the rising of the sun, a shared meal, a conversation, a moment of discomfort, become opportunities for practice. The goal is not perfection. It is alignment, presence, and conscious engagement with life. Finally, mastery is freedom, but not freedom as commonly imagined, the absence of restrictions or obligations. True freedom is the internal sovereignty to act with awareness, unshaken by fear, desire, or distraction. It is the capacity to respond, rather than react. It is the integration of mind, body, and spirit into a harmonious whole. It is the recognition that existence itself is a gift, and that living fully, consciously, and ethically within this gift is the ultimate expression of freedom. To truly master oneself, it is not enough to understand concepts intellectually. They must be woven into the fabric of daily life. Daily routines are not limitations. They are vehicles for presence, discipline, and energy alignment. The way you wake, eat, move, work, rest, and interact with the world shapes the energy you carry throughout the day. Life is the laboratory, and every action is an experiment in presence. Morning rituals and the beginning of presence. The first moments after waking are vital. When you wake with a chaotic mind, scattered thoughts, and immediate reaction to desire or discomfort, the entire day follows that pattern. By cultivating a mindful morning, you set the tone for conscious engagement. Simple practices, such as focused breathing, gentle movement, or even observing silence for 10 to 20 minutes, center the mind and awaken the body without forcing it. The mind, still fresh from rest, has not yet been clouded by distractions, and this is the perfect opportunity to exercise observation. Notice how the body feels. Observe any tension or discomfort. Acknowledge thoughts as they appear without immediately acting upon them. This establishes a subtle but profound shift from reaction to awareness. Nutrition as a foundation of energy. Food is not merely fuel. It is the medium through which energy flows into your system. Many people underestimate how much energy is lost or misdirected due to improper eating habits. Eating mindfully at consistent times with attention to the quality and quantity of food regulates energy, strengthens the body, and aligns the mind. Discipline in eating, resisting impulses, waiting until the designated time, avoiding mindless snacking, trains both body and mind. At first, this may feel restrictive. Hunger may arise at inconvenient moments. Thoughts of indulgence may tempt you, but over time, patience transforms into freedom. You become the master of your impulses rather than a slave to them. Movement and physical mastery. The body is the tangible expression of the mind. Martial arts, yoga, qigong, or structured exercise are tools to cultivate this connection. Through physical practice, you learn endurance, focus, and the ability to remain present under stress. When the muscles strain, the heart races, and fatigue sets in, the mind naturally wants to escape. But the practice teaches persistence and awareness, how to observe sensations without judgment, how to push the edge of capacity without collapse. These lessons transfer seamlessly into life. The emotional discomfort in a difficult conversation, the mental challenge of a demanding project, or the physical strain of long-term responsibilities. Mastering movement is mastering presence. Breath as energy regulation. Breathing is the bridge between body, mind, and energy. Conscious breathing regulates stress, stabilizes emotions, and increases vitality. By observing the breath and practicing techniques such as deep abdominal breathing, rhythmic inhalation-exhalation patterns, or meditative breath awareness, the mind becomes anchored in the present moment. The breath is a constant reminder that energy is finite and must be consciously directed. Every inhalation nourishes, every exhalation releases tension. Through breath, life itself becomes tangible, and the practitioner learns the art of energy management. Work focus and mental alignment. Work is not merely about productivity. It is an arena for practicing presence and focus. When attention is divided, thinking of lunch while writing a report, worrying about tomorrow while talking to someone, the quality of both action and experience diminishes. By dedicating full attention to the task at hand, whether mundane or significant, the mind learns to anchor itself in the present. Over time, multitasking fades and the clarity of focus enhances both efficiency and satisfaction. Discipline here is subtle. It is the act of gently returning attention each time it wanders, moment by moment, task by task. Rest, sleep, and recovery. Many underestimate the transformative power of rest. Sleep is not merely the absence of activity. It is a state of restoration for body, mind, and energy. Deep, undisturbed sleep allows the nervous system to reset, memory to consolidate, and energy to replenish. Living in alignment means prioritizing sleep as an essential practice, avoiding distractions, screens, or excessive stimulation before bedtime. True recovery is not measured in hours alone, but in the quality of sleep and the alignment of consciousness with the present moment. When awake, the mind is calm. When asleep, the mind is still. The integration of proper sleep routines reinforces the cycle of energy and presence. Interpersonal practice and relationships. Life is not lived in isolation. Relationships, family, friends, colleagues, companions, are the mirrors of our inner state. A mind aligned with presence responds with awareness, patience, and empathy, observing patterns in interactions. Noticing triggers and cultivating equanimity ensures that energy is not dissipated in unnecessary conflict. Healthy relationships involve reciprocity, resonance, and flow. Giving and receiving, speaking and listening, observing and expressing, all require conscious attention. Through mastery of self, relationships evolve into spaces of mutual growth rather than arenas of tension and projection. The integration of purpose and presence. A life well lived requires balance between doing and being, activity and stillness. Purpose is not merely a goal or achievement. It is the lens through which daily actions are aligned with deeper intention. Yet purpose must not overshadow presence. Constant striving without awareness leads to attachment, stress, and imbalance. Conversely, presence without direction may lead to stagnation. The integration of purpose and presence allows action to become meaningful, energy to be channeled efficiently, and life to be experienced as both dynamic and fulfilling. By establishing these routines and practices, the practitioner of master from within gradually transforms life into an art form, an intentional, conscious, and aligned existence. Discipline is no longer external, it becomes internalized. Freedom is no longer an abstraction, it manifests in each decision, each action, each thought. Presence is no longer sporadic, it becomes a natural state. Life itself becomes the canvas, and mastery the brush.